cheddar, gouda, guac, cash, dividends, my money's tight.
Alfa Romeo Automobiles is an Italian manufacturer of cars. Founded as ALFA on June 24, 1910 in Milan, Italy. The company has been heavily involved in car racing since 1911 and has a reputation for building expensive sports cars. The company that became Alfa Romeo was founded as SED. In August 1915, the company came under the direction of Neapolitan entrepreneur Alfa Romeo, who converted the factory to produce military hardware for the Italian and Allied war efforts. Car production had not been considered at first, but resumed in 1919 since parts of the completion of 105 cars had remained at the ALFA factory since 1915. In 1920, the name of the company was changed to Alfa Romeo with the Torpedo 2030 HP. Giuseppe Morozzi continued as head designer, and the company continued to produce solid road cars as well as successful race cars, including the 4060 HP and the RL Targa Florio. In 1923, the Toro Giano was lured from Fiat partly thanks to the persuasion of young Alfa racing driver named Enzo Ferrari to replace Morozzi as chief designer at Alfa Romeo. The first Alfa Romeo under Giano was the P2 Grand Prix car, which won Alfa Romeo the inaugural World Championship for Grand Prix cars in 1925. Enzo Ferrari proved a better team manager than driver, and when the factory team was privatized, it became Scuderia Ferrari. When Ferrari left Alfa Romeo, he went on to build his own cars. Tazio Novellari often drove for Alfa, winning many races before the Second World War. In 1928, Alfa Romeo left, and in 1933, Alfa Romeo was rescued by the Italian government. Alfa Romeo became an instrument of Mussolini's Italy, a national emblem. This era peaked with the Alfa Romeo 2900B Type 35 racers. Once motorsports resumed after World War II, Alfa Romeo proved to be the car to beat in Grand Prix events. The introduction of Formula One provided an ideal setting for Alfa Romeo's Typo 158 Alfetta, which won the first Formula One World Championship in 1950 in the 158. By 1986, IRI was suffering heavy losses and put Alfa Romeo up for sale. Italian manufacturer Fiat offered to start a joint venture with Alfa. In 1986, the deal was concluded with Alfa Romeo merged with traditional rival Lancia into Fiat's Alfa Lancia Industria. In 2005, Maserati was bought back from Ferrari and under Fiat's full control. The Fiat Group plans to create a sports and luxury division from Maserati and Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo's return to the US was confirmed on May 5, 2006 by Fiat CEO Sergio Marchionne.
Alfa Romeo? Well, you're forgiven if you don't, because it's been 14 years since the Italian maker sold a car in the United States. And now Alfa's back, and they're back big, with this beautiful 8-seat competition. This is the brand, after all, that dominated Le Mans in the 1930s. This is the brand that built the famous Duetto Roadster that Dustin Hoffman drove in The Graduate. And now they've created this incredible 2-seat supercar, crafted almost entirely in carbon fiber, designed by Wolfgang Egger, who has since moved on to Audi. It's an absolutely luscious piece, full of milled aluminum, beautiful leather, and that striking body.
The Alfa Romeo 4C was announced to be the first mass-produced car to re-enter the US market in 2013.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Alfa Romeo. Today marks a turning point for one of the best-known and best-loved car brands in the world.
You can understand why Alfa is making some noise about the 4C. It even built a building that goes over its test track to launch it at Bolocco. This isn't just a new sports car, it's a new beginning for Alfa Romeo. The car itself is a 2-seat coupe using a carbon tub for massive rigidity. The dry weight of the car is 895 kilograms, 925 kilograms with fluids. For reasons of space and budget, the motor is effectively a hot version of the Giulietta's 1750cc turbocharged 4-cylinder. Power is 240 horsepower, torque is 258 foot-pounds of torque. So it actually has a superior power-to-weight ratio to a Cayman S. Alfa claims 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds and 160 miles an hour flat out. The transmission is a 6-speed double clutch developed and built by Alfa. It's claimed to shift in 130 milliseconds. The chassis is a little unconventional, not at the front where you find double wishbones you expected, but at the rear, which uses a strut design because the powertrain package is so tight. You see, it seems strange to me to be so uncompromising on the carbon tub and then not have the optimum suspension design on the car. So what? It's a dinky little thing, the 4C, 39 centimetres shorter than a Cayman, but still longer than an Elise. It's wide though, 6 centimetres wider than the Porsche. The packaging is pretty tight with the motor slapped right into the rear bulkhead, leaving a smallish boot behind, which has no gas struts for reasons of weight. In fact, the whole car is about not being heavy. The cabin carries no unnecessary trim, the seats are very thinly padded, and the whole thing feels much more Elise than Cayman. You can specify a radio and air conditioning, and a set of runners for the passenger seat. As standard, it's fixed. But I just love the exposed carbon in that cabin. The dash is especially funky, and much like an Aventador's TXT screen. The steering wheel isn't funky, but more of that in a minute.
At the 2014 Detroit Auto Show, Romeo CEO stated that Alfa Romeo will return to the US market by 2015 with mainstream models.